Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and you are welcome to our fourth lecture for the semester. So without wasting too much time, I'll share my screen and I'll begin my lecture. Yeah, my name is Dr. Uswe Champong, and I welcome you to the second lecture for week 2. I've already done the first lecture, and this is the second one for week 2, and it's the fourth lecture for the semester. So this is GBS 303 Computer Applications in Management, and as usual, this is how your grading is going to be. So I always keep reminding you. Yeah, so this is the continuation of what we did earlier on the Excel tutorial 1. So this is Excel tutorial 2, and over here, we are going to look at formatting workbook data, workbook test and data. So the first one, I try to introduce you to Microsoft Excel, and then how you familiarize yourself with the window, the Excel application window, and also how you enter data and how you do basic calculation using the formula and then the function, and also how you can view Excel in different ways, and also the printing aspect. But this time around, we are going to look at how you can format the workbook test and data. Formatting just means changing the appearance of whatever test or data that you have, and that's what we are going to look at. So the first objective is you change fonts, font style, and the font color, and then how you add fill colors and a background image. Then how you can create formulas to calculate sales data. Already I introduced you the formulas earlier, and we are going to do some part of it again. Then how you apply currency and accounting formats and the percent style. And then how you can format days and times, how you can align, indent, and rotate cell contents, and how you can merge a group of cells. Also, how you use the average function way. I introduced you to it earlier on. And then how you apply what you call cell styles, copy and paste formats with the format printer, find and replace text and formatting, and change the workbook theme. So some of them are very basic, and those ones I will not bother you. You can learn on your own or during tutorials. Then the essential ones, I will just go ahead and then demonstrate. And also you must understand the concepts that we are introducing you to. Also, how you highlight cells with what you call conditional formatting. That's a very powerful feature. And then you format a worksheet for printing, and also how you set the print area. I introduced you to the page layout and the view, where you saw the page break, and then you also saw the page layout view, and so on and so forth. So set the print area and set page breaks, add print titles, create headers and footers, and set the margins. All these things are things that you can do on your own. So this is a small visual overview of the application. So if you look at this one, the data here is having a lot of different formatting styles. Some of the tests you see that are vertical, some of them have different colors, and they have some shading backgrounds and so on. So this a typical worksheet with some kind of data that is having different formats. So you have some background here with some color, and then you have some currency symbols being displayed. You also have some borders that are around some of the data that have been typed, and so on and so forth. So that's what the visual overview here is talking about. So you say you use the font button to change the font of selected text or numbers. So here, depending on what you are typing, Calibri is the default font. You can change it. You can also change the font size. And then you say every font can be formatted with a font style such as bold, italic, or underline. So that's what this one is talking about. So you decide. The thing that you do in Word, those formatting thing is the same thing that we are talking about here. So say you can format a text string within a cell in edit mode. So this is also another thing you can do. And so many other things are here. So you decide which one of them that you do. I introduced you to the merging, and we are going to do merging a lot here. So you say you can merge or combine several cells into one cell, and that's what merging is all about. So you can merge and center, you can merge across, depending on whatever you are doing. So let's see. So worksheet formatting. First, before we can do the formatting, there should be some data. So I'm going to introduce you to some kind of data again. And I always like to type with you. I don't want to bring a data that is already typed. So whilst I'm typing, you can also learn from the typing. So here we can see it's highlighting the number group. And with the number group, we have so many different categories. The decimal points, the comma separator, the percentage, the currency, and all of them are there that we can look at. And then say a fill color is a background color that can be added to cells to help differentiate parts of a worksheet or highlight some data. So if you have a lot of the headings, like this one is talking about the months, January, June, July, August, and so on and so forth, then you decide if you want it to be a highlighter, and you highlight the background and change the color and so on and so forth. And say you can increase or decrease the number of decimal places, just like I said. So this one is about 3 decimal places. You can make it 4, you can make it 2, and it depends on whatever you are doing. Then the comma style tool will now give you the 1000 separator. So if you have any figure which is having more than 4 or 5 figures, then it will bring the 1000 separator. And all these are part of the formatting things that you need to know. So what is formatting itself? To say formatting is just what? The process of changing workbook's appearance by defining what we call the fonts. Fonts are just the typing style, the way that we type. So if we are writing, you see that we have different handwriting, and it's the same thing that people, gurus, ICT gurus or computer scientists have designed for us when we are typing. So you choose the style of your choice. So the fonts, styles, colors, and graphical effects, and only the appearance of the data changes, not the data itself. That's very, very important. So when you change the appearance of the figure or change the appearance of the text, it does not mean the text itself has changed. So Kofi can be rotated and it can be turned upside down, it can be vertical, and so on and so forth. Yet the text is still Kofi. And that's what this point is trying to talk about. So when you format, it enhances readability and appeal. And that's why we need to do formatting. Because sometimes you give some something to somebody and you see that this report that you are presenting is not, readable, and it's also not having any effects. So in that case, it does not look professional. And that's what we are trying to explain here. So the live preview shows the effects of formatting options before you apply them. What we mean is any of the text or any figure that you want to just, format, you highlight it, and then when you select the particular effect that you are applying, it will show how it's going to look like. So if you want that, you use it. If you not, then you leave it. And that's what the live preview is talking about. And then we have what we call themes, and themes are very, very important. So instead of me changing my font size, font color, and the rest, I can choose a theme, and the theme will just do all those things for me. So that's why we say the themes is just a name collections of formatting effects, and that's what we are going to look at very soon. Formatting cell text again. So you say you can add formatting to a workbook by choosing its fonts, styles, colors, and decorative features through the use of the themes. And I talked about theme earlier on. So the theme is just a collection of formatting for text, colors, and graphical effects, which are applied throughout a workbook to create a specific look and feel. And that's all that themes are about. So as you format the workbook, the galleries and live previews show how a workbook will be affected by a formatting selection. So we have a lot of options, and you decide which option you want to use, and that's what the gallery is talking about. So a gallery is a menu which shows a visual representation of the options available for the selected button. Then the live preview shows the results of clicking each option. So once the gallery is giving you the options that you can select, the live preview is the one that will, when you select, you know how the text or the object or whatever is going to look like. So by pointing to different options, you can quickly see different results before selecting the format that you want. So the theme, we have what we call theme fonts and then non-theme fonts, but this one you shouldn't bother much. And we have different character styles like the serif fonts and sans serif fonts. These are things you should not bother, and nobody will ask you some of these things in exam. So forget about it. But you should know what the theme is and what we use the theme for. So font styles, special effects, and font size, there are so many of them. So for instance, if you type something and then you come and select the font, then there are so many different types of fonts here. So you decide the one you want to use. This one has selected Algerian, and you see that the type, this font has changed. But the live preview will indicate how it's going to look like, and that's what, this is the gallery, and then the live previews, after selecting one, that's how it's going to look like, and that's it. So the themes have 12 colors for text and blah, blah, blah. All this you don't need to worry about because we don't go and ask some of these questions. It's not necessary. So we have some standard colors, custom colors, automatic colors. So all these are things that you yourself will do and will demonstrate for you to see. So you can also change a fill color. So how do you change a fill color? It depends on the data that you type. So after you have typed the data, then you can change the fill color. I'm just explaining this, and when I start, then I will go ahead and demonstrate all of them at once. Then you can also do some background images, but it will when you do not print, it will not print, but it will give some feel, and it will make your work more presentable when you are maybe giving a presentation and you want to show. So that's what the background image tool will do. And it's so easy to add some background image. And how do you change the fill color? So you select the range you wish to apply the fill color to. So the previous lecture, I show you how you can select the range. And anything at all that we are going to do, most of the time depends on the range of cells. So you select the range and then you'll be able to apply whatever you want. So on the home tab in the font group, you click the fill color button arrow and then click the specific color you wish to use in the standard color section. So that's what this is talking about. Now, let me demonstrate before we come to the background image. So we will start another Excel workbook. So we go and then we select Excel by starting the application. And once we start the application, we click on the blank workbook to create a new workbook. And this time around, we will save our workbook. So I click on this blank workbook and you see that it has created book one for me, just like we did previously. So let's save it now. So we click on file and then we say save as. And afterwards, I want to save onto my desktop. So I will say I want to save it to this PC and then I'll click on this arrow to move to my desktop. So it's now I select the desktop and I give it a name. So I'll say UGBS 303. Please see the Excel demonstration. Something like this, but it's too much uppercase. So let me make it this. So Excel demonstration like this. Then I'll say save. So now you see that I'm no longer having book one, but it's giving me the name of what I give to my sheet. So let me exit it, close. And I said it should be on my desktop. So you see it here on my desktop. So I double click it once again. And once I do that, that's how you open and you close, or you after saving, that's how you go about it. So where you save it, you go to the location and double click it without going to open the application. Then you see that UGBS 303 Excel demonstration appears. So now I want to type some data, the same data that we used in the previous one. So I'll add one more sheet. So sheet one is something about, let's say, I'll call it students data. Enter, and then sheet two, I'll call it basic calculation. Enter. So you see that I've been able to create two different sheets, and then one is student data, the other is basic calculation. So student data, I would like to start from cell A1. Let me increase the zoom a little. So cell A1, and I want to type University of Ghana Business School, PO box LG 78, Legon. How come this one moved next? I want it to be here. So Legon, comma Accra. Then I'll leave two spaces. So I'll say list. Here it will not be all uppercase. So list of registered students for UGBS 303. This okay. So then I'll say student. I shouldn't be all uppercase. So student ID. Then I'll say full name. I don't know if it's one word or I should leave space. So full name, and I'll say gender. Then I'll say age. Then I'll say DOB, just to combine different sets of data for you to see how we are going to do this. So student ID, now because we are in a hurry, I'll just use only 4 digits. So 1001, 1002, 1003. Now let's see, Excel has some feature that I will introduce you to later, but because I'm in a hurry, I'll just use that feature. So once I type 100, 100, 103, let me see if it will work. So I highlight the last two and I want Excel to generate a series for me. So let's see if it will work. So I continue and you see that Excel is now generating the series for me. So 1001, 1002, 1003. We will use this later in other lectures. But now because I'm in a hurry, this okay, let's leave it like this. Then full name, I will say Abigail. The names are not coming. Abigail Esi. Gender is female. Age is, let's say, 21, and date of birth. This is not correct. We are just using anything because I just need some data to work with. So we can say Abigail was born somewhere. Where can I get the calendar coming? But anyway, let me type. So I can say maybe 2/4/1998, something like this. So that's it. Then I'll do another one. So I'll say Evelyn Ishan. Then type F, you see that female repeats. Then age 19, and she was born somewhere on 5/9/2000, something like this. And then we continue. So the next one is Kofi Yaumenu. And then we type male. He is 22, and he was born somewhere in 12/12/1995. Then we continue. So we come to another name, Eric Ofori. He is also male. He is 20, and he was born 10/12/1996. You see how data entry is quite difficult, but you have to spend time and do that. But this is just demonstration for you to understand how we enter data in Excel. Then afterwards, I'm going to format it and see how it's going to look like. And that's the first part that the slides we're talking about. Then we'll bring another lady, let's say Sarah Bugri. And then she is female. She is 22. This one has changed. I don't know why. That's what I did, but okay, let me widen and see. It's still not. Wow, okay, let me see, 12/11, it's still not. Anyway, let's move on. Then this one, we say she's also born on a particular, let's say 5/7/1998 again. And then another one, Sandra Okoro, female again, 20, and she was also born 8/9/1995. And the last one, let's see, Derek. He is a male, and he is, let's say, 27, and he was born somewhere, let's say 9/5/19, let's say 85. Yeah, so this is some small data that I have. And let's see how we'll be able to format this kind of data that we have. So the first thing that we do is we want to change the font of some of them. So we just highlight the whole of this University of Ghana Business School is Calibri. So let me change it. So once I click it, any font I point, then you see that it changes. So if I click on Algerian, then it changes. And there are so many of the fonts there. So if you choose this, look at this, then you see that it has changed completely. So if you can read this, then you decide. Sorry, but if that's not what I want, just go there and then let's see, Bookman O Star, you decide that's what you want. Then PO Box so and so, you go and you decide to go with Algerian, then Legon Accra, that one too, you decide to go with another one, something like this. So afterwards, then you can change the color. So you say this one, you want the font color to be red. This one, you want the font color to be this one, you want it to be violet or whatever. Yeah, so that's what you do. Then list of registered students who you can say you want to bold it, you want to italize it, and then you want to change the font. So you decide that is what you want, and then you want to increase the font size. So in a nutshell, that's how we go about. Then the whole of this, I select the whole of this range, and I want all of them to have a highlight. So let's say I'm putting emphasis on it, and I want the emphasis to be this. So you see that the background of that whole section has changed. And that's what the slide was talking about. So you can do a lot of things here when it comes to changing the font size and all those kind of stuff. So let's go back and then continue, save whatever I've done and then go back and continue. Now let me create another one that is for the basic calculation. So here too, let me increase the font. And then we just say XYZ supermarket. Then you say Adenta, just like that. And then we come and we say items, quantity, unit price, total price, something like this. So items, then we can decide to type any item. So you say milk, like I was doing, chocolate, sugar, and then you say soup, then you say water, so let's say sachet, water, and then bottled water. So let's take only this, and then quantity of milk, let's say we have about 50, chocolate we have 100, sugar we have, let's say 70, soup we have, let's say 150, sachet water we have, let's say 50 again, and then bottled water we have 100. Let's take this, and then unit price for milk, let's say is 3 cedis. That of chocolate is, let's say 5, that of sugar is 2, that of soap is, let's say 1.5, and that of sachet water is, let's say 1.2, that of water is, let's say 2. Let's take it like this. So we are able to now type something. So later on we are going to do our calculation, which will be based on quantity multiplied by unit price to give us the total price. But before that, let's try and do some formatting. So I want to widen this one here so that I'll see everything. Then this one fits all right. I want to let this also fit. I want this one to also fit. So something like this. And then the SYZ supermarket, let me do some formatting. So I want that one to have some, let's say this color. I want this Adenta tool to have, let's say blue color. And then I want the headings here to be highlighted with some background like this. So there's something that I want to do for this particular one too. So now I have student data here, and I have my basic calculation data tool here. So let's move on to our slides and then continue from there. So the next one is adding a background image. So we say on the ribbon, you click the pay layout tab to display the pay layout options, and then the pay setup, blah, 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 you click the background button and you click and select. So all that we are saying is, if you have some image and you want that image to be part of your background, then you can go ahead and do that for whatever that we have, type. So we come back here and we want some background to be for the student data. So what we do is we go to the page layouts, and then you see a button under page setup here called background. You click on the background, and then it's going to search for it, but I want it from far. That is from my own computer. If you want, you can also select from the internet. You browse and select from the internet. So I click on the background, and then you decide where you have some images that you can use. So let me go back to my desktop. I have some fantastic images about Ghana tourism. So I'll go back and see if I can bring some of those images here. So let me see if I can get some images. So Ghana tourist sites, yeah. So if, for instance, Ghana map is the one you want to be the background, you select that one and say insert. And then you see that the whole background of your worksheet is like this. But you see that this does not make sense. You will not see anything. So you say undo and then remove it. But let's try another one and see if another one will come and that one will help us. So you decide in a nutshell, whatever you want to do. So let's say Ghana flag and see if it will work. So you cannot read. So background image most of the time is not that important. When we print, let's see file and then print. You see that it does not come, but it's not readable. How can you read this? You cannot. So you just say undo. But in a nutshell, that's what if you want to add a background image, you can go ahead and do it. I want to see if there's some formatting that I need to do before I move to the calculations again. But no problem. Let's continue with the using functions and then formulas. So you say a primary feature of Excel is the ability to easily perform many mathematical and statistical calculations through functions and then formulas. So a function is just a formula which is pre-established by Excel, and I explained in the other lecture. And the formula is created by the Excel user as needed. So that's the difference between the two. So with this tutorial, we are going to look at this data coming from the book, but I'm not using the data coming from the book. I'm creating my own data as you have seen. So that one is saying you find the total amount of sales at all of the restaurants, the cost of sales, the operating expenses, but that's not what we are using. So anytime we give you any work, we will give you the formula that you should use. And this is a kind of thing that the book is using in terms of the formula, how to get the net profit and loss, the unit sold, the customer service, and so on. But I'm not using that particular data. I'm using a different data. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate how we do the calculation as we did previously. It's the same thing. But before that, we want to do formatting of the numbers. So let's understand that one. Then we go and do the calculations and format them. So goal is to make the workbook easier to interpret. And you change the number of digits displayed to the right of the decimal point. And you add a comma as a thousand separator, and you control the number of decimal places. And you can also use percentage and currency symbols. So that's what this data here is saying. So you create formulas to add, subtract, and divide the value depending on it. So the data that was in the previous slide was talking about you finding the gross sales, the cost of sales, operating expense, the net profit. And we see that it's comparing 2015 to 2014. So you find the net change by subtracting 2014 from 2015. And then percentage change, you find it by the formula is there by dividing what is the net change by the 2014 figure and multiplying it by 100%. That's what will do that calculation for you. But that's not what we are doing. So let's see how we will do our own as well. So we go back here and then not the registered students, but not the student data, but the basic calculation. So we come here, we find the total price for each one of them. So we say equals to, then we multiply the quantity, that B5, multiply, by the C5. That gives us our figure. And then we just click and drag it through what we call relative referencing, so that it does the calculation for all of them for us. But unfortunately, none of them is having up to 1,000. So it means I have to increase the quantity. So you make this one 500. Yeah, then you make this one 2. So I'll have to edit them. So double click and put them in edit mode. Double click and put this one 2 in edit mode. Double click and put this one 2 in edit mode. Double click and put this one in edit mode. And you do the same thing for this one as well. Yeah, so that's what we have done. So now we have a lot of the figures that I want. So what we are going to do is we are going to apply the number format. So we click the home tab again and we select all this. So we can start with the quantity. So you select all the range of all the quantities. And then you come here, you see the first thing is what we call the 1,000 separator. So you click on the comma, and then the moment you do that, it will automatically add 2 decimal places and it will bring the comma. You do the same thing for this one too. click on it, and then you see what it has done. But if I don't want that one, then, and I want to apply the currency, then I click on this, and you see that the currency too will come in front of it, and then it will give me the 1000 separator as well. So that's how you go about formatting the numbers. But there's a big difference between what we call the format currency style and the accounting style. So this one that I use is what we call the accounting style. And with the accounting style, you see that the symbol moves to the left of the figure. So you see that the figure is to your right, the symbol is to the left. If I want it to be in front of it, then I have to go and change from the accounting style. And now I have to use what we call the currency. So if I click on currency, then you see that it comes just in front of it. And that's the difference that you should know. So now if you click, you see that it's now saying currency here. It's no longer the accounting. So you must know which is which. Now, if I want all of them to have 4 decimal places, then I'll come and then this is what we call the decimal places, decrease it. So this will increase it. And then you see that now I have 4 of them. If I want it to be 3, just click on this. Then you see that I have 3 of them. So that's in a nutshell how you go about it. If you want it to be in percentage, just click it and then you see what is happening. But I don't want it to be in percentage. So I'll say undo and then I get my currency back. So that's how you go about formatting your numbers. And that's what the slide is talking about here. So let's combine whatever we have done and see in terms of the highlighter. So now we can say here we want something called overall total. So let's type it here. You see overall total. And then what we want to do is just sum whatever is there. So we just use the auto sum that we learned in our last lecture. So we highlight everything here. And then we just go here. And then you say sum. And then you see that it has given us the total sum of all the figures above here. Then this one I want to emphasize. So I'll say bold it. And then I want to give it a background color as well. So this is how you can go about doing these things. Yeah. So you see, in a nutshell, it's not that difficult when it comes to formatting and changing things. I started and it was not nice, but now look at how it's feeling. So you can change this one too and say you want it to be italicized, and you see what I have now. So that's it. And let me save it. So let's go back to this and see what we have. So I've already explained everything here in terms of applying the number formats. So you can use the general number format for simple calculations, and you use the accounting style, and you see it lines up the currency value within a column by currency symbol and decimal point, and it encloses negative numbers within parentheses. That's also another thing that we should know. So for instance, if any figure is supposed to be negative, I don't know if, let me see, if I put a sign symbol here. Okay, you see that it puts that one, and that's the accounting style. It puts it in the bracket, but the currency will not put in bracket. If I change this one only to the currency, to the accounting style, then see, it will remove the negative from it, and then it will put the figure in bracket. And that's what it means in terms of what we mean by the negative when it's the accounting style being in a bracket. But if it's currency, then it will not be in bracket, but rather you see the negative symbol in front. The same thing. Let's change this one to, but this one is number, so let's make it number. Yeah, then it will not change. Yeah, so you see that negative, and here too is putting the negative in front. If we change it to accounting style, then it will be rather in bracket, and that's something that you should also know. So if you see any number after calculation is in bracket, then it means that number is negative. So you say it encloses negative numbers within parentheses. So the formatting that I did, this an example of it. So this is the currency format, this is the accounting format, and that's what it's trying to show you. So this one in bracket means that number is negative, and you see the accounting format having the symbol of the currency to the left, and then the currency format having it in front of it, and here having the negative in front. Okay. So in terms of formatting, it depends on what you are doing. You can increase the decimal point, you can decrease the decimal points, and so on and so forth. And that's what this one is trying to explain. Now we can also look at how we can format days and then times. So days and times are stored as numbers, not as text. So you apply different formats Applying different format does not affect the values, like we said earlier on, and it makes it easier to calculate the time intervals. So the short date format or long date format, you decide, and I explained that one. So the short date format will be, let's say, 10/4/2021. That is, today is 10th, and the month is April, which is 4, and it's 2021. If I want the long one, then I'll say Saturday, 10th April 2021, and that's the British format. If I move to the American format, then it's going to be Saturday, April 10th, 2021. And the 12-hour or 24-hour time is something that you need. So this is not a big deal. The CSL provides many formats for days and times in the worksheet depending on the user requirements. So you select the cell with the date and time should appear, and on the ribbon, you select the home tab. And then the number group, you just click the number format button arrow to display the list of number formats, and you select the preferred format. So the date is displayed within it. So it's a very simple thing to do. So we just go back to our data again. And now let's go to the student data. That's where we have some kind of date. So here we come and we select all the dates here. We select all of them. And then this is what it's talking about. You see that it's date here, but let's go and see if we can choose a different format. So you see this a short date and we have the long date. So you click it and then all of them becomes hash, hash, hash. The moment you see a cell displaying hash, 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 then it means the content does not fit within it. And this one is not truncation. So what you do is you just widen it by clicking to the right, or you just double click and then it will widen and it will give you. And because we said we want the long date format, that's why I'm saying this one is Wednesday, February 4th, Tuesday, May 9th, Tuesday, December 12th, and so on. So if you want short, just highlight the whole thing, go back to the date again, and then you just say short date. And then you see that it changes to the short date format. So you decide which of them that you want, and then anytime you resize, you can also resize it back depending on whatever you are doing. And that's what the slice is talking about in terms of the formatting of the date and time. Now, I told you earlier on, when you print, you are not going to get the data printed. So if you want the data to be printed, then that's where you need to add some borders and so on and so forth. So you say the format appearance of individual cells by modifying alignment of text within the cell. So we are now going to look at the alignment, the left, right, center, justify, and all those kind. Some of them also has additional one there, by the text can be above, in the middle, and so on and so forth. Then you can also indent the cell text. So indentation is moving, shifting to the left or right. It depends on what you are doing. And then you can also add borders of different styles and colors to individual cells or ranges of cells. So all that depends on you. So there's the aligning cell content. By default, cell text align with left bottom borders, and then cell values align with right bottom borders. And that's what you mean. So if it's number, it will be to the right. If it is text, it will be to the left. And then buttons to set alignment options are in alignment group on the home tab. So these are the different alignment groups that you have: the top, middle, bottom, align, left, center, blah, blah, blah. Then the wrapping is also very, very important. We have another one that's interesting called orientation. So we can play around some of these things and see how they also look like. And most of these things is about practicing. So for instance, if student ID is the one that I want to just do the orientation, I select it, and then you see this button here. The whole of this group is what we call alignment. So this button here is the one that I'll use. Then I'll say orientation, and then I'll say I want it to be vertical test. And look at what student ID has turned to. But it depends. Before you use some of these things, you must decide what you are doing. So instead of that one, I can slant it rather. So I can say I want it to be angle counterclockwise, and then look at it. Then I can do the same for gender. So I can highlight all the three, and then I'll say I want all of them to do this way. And then you see that now it's no longer the way that it used to be, but we have now, done some orientation. So playing around these things, like I keep repeating, it depends on you and whatever you are doing. Instead of this, I can also decide to change it. So I can say I want it to be this way. We see how it has turned. So all of them too, I can decide to change them. So Excel is a very powerful tool, and please pay attention and make time and study whatever we are teaching you, because this industry standard, and everywhere that you go, once you're a business student, you are employed, they require this kind of skills from you. So it's better you learn it. Some people will go and pay and learn from some of the computer schools, but we are taking the time to give you every detail that you need. So please pay attention and then make sure you practice. So let's change it back to this star, and then we just leave it. And that's what this button here, the orientation, will do for you. Then in terms of this alignment, now you see that this one is saying it is at the bottom align. So let's see, once we orientate, if we can move it. So this one is center and this one is what? Is top. If the cell is widened more, then further, then that's where you see what we mean by all these things that we are talking about. Let me widen the cell further. So you see that all of them, look at where they are aligned. So all of them are aligned top. Now let's bring it to the center. You see, and let's bring it to the bottom. But most of the time, we don't waste space with this. So it's better you let it be the default size and then it fit within that. But you can do so many things with most of these things that we are talking about. Indentation, for instance, I select female, and then if I click on this, they see that it moves. So, and that's what you mean by indentation. There, you see that it's hiding. So you have to bring it to the left and practice everything that you see. One other thing that we need to do about here is what you call wrapping. So let's see, I've demonstrated the indentation and then the merging. So we do the merging before maybe the wrapping. So merge cells, it retains only the content and cell reference from upper left cell in the range. And we have different merge options. So you have the merge and center, merge across, merge cell and unmerge cell. So you have about 5 columns and you want to put all of them together to be only one. And that's what merging is all about. So we use merging a lot when we are doing formatting, especially for the headings. So let's see how we can do our merging. We go back there again, and I want to merge. You see that the data is now, let me reduce the zoom so that you see where the data occupies. So the data occupies cells A up to E, and University of Ghana is almost there. So I'll highlight the whole of this, and then I'll go to this button here called merge and center. So I'll click this and say merge and center. If I say merge across, this one is not doing it. Merge cells, but let's do the merge and center first. So you say merge and center. Then it has combined all of them. Let's do for this one. The first one we're not seeing, but let's do for this one. So merge and center again. And see that it merges all of them. So from A2 up to E2, all of them are merged. But let me see the other one. So merge across. That one does not work, no problem. Then we say Legon Accra, that one to merge and center. And you see that now I've been able to do what? Let the heading be merged and centered across all of them. List of registered students, the same thing I will do. But that one is not necessary. We leave it as it is. And that's what the merging can also do for us when it comes to headings. Let's go to the basic calculation and do the same thing. So here's SYZ supermarket is under AB, but I wanted to cover ABCD. So I'll highlight the whole of it, the range from A1 to D1, and then I'll say merge and center. Then see that it moves to the middle. Then the same thing for the A to D2, merge and center, and that's also moves. And that's what we mean by merging cells and centering them. So rotating cells contain safe space and provide visual interest. So it depends on what you are doing. Sometimes you can go ahead and do that. And if you look at the data that's being shown here, Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, you see that all of them are now vertical, but inside we have different sets of data. So depending on the content that you are putting there, you can look at this. And if you see some of these things, it's not something that you cannot do. You can also do by just highlighting and deciding on the way that you want the orientation to be. So now the next thing that we look at is what we call the borders. And I told you that everything I thought that we have done, if we print, it will not come. So if you want it to be printed, then that's where we have to add the borders. So adding cell borders enhances readability of rows and columns or data. And add borders to left, top, right, or bottom of cell or range around an entire cell or around outside edges of a range. And you specify the thickness and number of lines in the border. You decide all these things. And it's very simple. We are going to do that. So let's see how we do the border before we come to the cell dialog box formatting. So we go back here and now we want to print, see what we are going to see. So if we click on file and we say print, now you see that the data is going to be printed, but it will not show the borders. So if you want the borders to be shown, then what we do is we come and then we highlight the range. So from items, that is A4 up to D11, we highlight all of them. And then you come to the font group and you see this button here. That's what they call the border. So you click on this arrow here, and then you say you want all borders. So if you say you want all borders, then it will give you the grid lines. You see that some lines are now around. Let's go and try and print and see how it will look like. So you say file, and then you say print. And then you see that, look at how the data looks like. And it's because we decided to add borders to everything that we have done. So that's how powerful it is. Let's do it again. So highlight all of them. And then we want to maybe choose a thicker one. So you say thick outside borders, or you want it to be double border, or some of them you have to draw, but these ones you can learn on your own, or during tutorials you can go about that, but we can look at more borders. And then here I want to see if I can, yeah, you can do double border still. Let's say the thickness of the line, and then you can also give it, let's say, some border color. Let's see a color we have not used. So let's try this color, for instance. And we want it to be everywhere. So you say, okay. And now that's what we have. So you see that there's a thickness around it. And if you try to print, that will show emphasis. So you see how it has been formatted. So that's how you go about if you really want to print the grid of columns and rows. Else, the way it shows, if you print, the lines will not come. And sometimes that's not what you want. So now you can also look at what we call the format cell dialog box options, whereby you can do so many things like the number, alignment, font, border, blah, 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 all of them. You can go during tutorial and then do that. The border tab, I've just displayed that one for you to see. And this is a typical formatting that the book is presenting. And you can do this thing depending on the data that you have. And this a page break thing, which will show you the number of pages that you are having. So in the first tutorial, I show you the auto sum and then how you can do the average and all those things. So it's the same thing that is being repeated here. So I will not spend too much time. And we all know how averages are found. So you just count the numbers and then you divide by the total. But because it's a function, the formula has been cooked for you already. So all that you do is you use what we call the average function. And syntax in computer science or ICT or whatever is with the criteria or the method for typing that particular formula or function. That's what we term as the syntax. So you see the syntax of the average function is you type the word average and then you put inside the parentheses the range of it. But AutoSum is there which can do the same thing for you. So most of the time we don't bother much about what this one is talking about. Now, depending on what you are doing, you can also apply what we call cell styles. And cell styles will give you a different feel and look when it comes to formatting of your cells and everything. So you say use styles to ensure that cells displaying same type of data use the same format. So that's what you use. So the style will do a selection of formatting option using a specific font and color from the current theme. And if style is later revised, appearance of any cell formatted within that style is updated automatically. It saves you time and effort when it comes to whatever you are doing. So this is how the cell styles are. So if you go on your right after the number, the next one is about the cell style, the formatting and conditional formatting and so on and so on. So we'll go and then apply some of them and see how it will show in terms of our work that we have done. So let's see. Now we go to the student data again, and this time around, let's apply some cell styles. So we just come and select the whole of this here. And then under styles here, you see cell styles. So you click on this, and then we have so many different types. So if you click on bad, look at the good, neutral. So each one of them will give you some different kind of styles. So you decide which one of them that you are going to go with. So it's up to you. We have different headings here. So heading 1 will give us this. Heading 2. Before, that's what we have. Before applying the star, we have done some formatting. But when we apply the star, the formatting that we have done is going to change to the star that we have selected. So we come to the cell stars, and there are so many different stars. So we have heading 4 stars, heading 3 stars, heading 2 stars, and they will come with different fonts, different font sizes, and so on. So for instance, if I go with this 60%, 40%, accent. You decide which one of them you want. You click it and then see that the data has been formatted accordingly. But you see some of them are hiding, so you have to go and widen them again before you can see your data well. So in a nutshell, that's what we mean by formatting with cell styles. So if you don't want it, then you can highlight the whole thing again, go there, and then you say normal. Then it will remove even the formatting and everything that we have done. So you have to be careful. If you want it to be the way it was before, then you just click on undo, then it gets back to how our data look before we apply the cell styles. So all these are different kinds of formatting that will show different appearance about your data, and you decide which one of them that you want to go with. So copying formats with Format Painter, this one I'll leave it. You can do it in your tutorial, or you can practice it on your own. And then using different paste options too. This one you can learn it in your tutorials. Then sometimes you may have some data and you want to do some searching if you really have a very big sheet with a lot of data here and there. And that's why we said the sheet is so broad and it's having over 1 million rows, and then the columns are also plenty, XFD and so on. So there are times that you have to search for information depending on what you are doing. And that's what the find and replace commands will do. So the find and replace commands let you make content and design changes to a worksheet or the entire workbook quickly. So the file command searches through the current worksheet or workbook for the content or formatting you want to locate. The replace command then substitutes with the new content or formatting that you specify. So this is the dialog box for that one. So we just go back here and then we just put the pointer anywhere. And then we just click on this one here, which says what, find and select. So you click on this and you say find. And then it gives you this dialog box here. So once you have the dialog box, I want to see if there's a new YAW. So you type YAW here. And then you say find next. Then you see that it comes and select YAW. Find this again. It does not. So YAW is only one. If you say find all, then it will locate where that data is. Now let's find female. So you type female and then you say find all. Then you see that it is giving us so many of the cells. If I click any one of them, it will jump to the next female, next female, next female, and so on and so forth. So if you want it one by one, that's where you say find next, find next, find next, find next, and you see that it keeps jumping. And that's what we mean by using the find. The same place you can get the replace, but sometimes if you just want to jump straight to the replace, you go to the same place, find and select, and then you say replace, and it gives you the same thing. So here you say you are looking for YAW, and you want to replace YAW with, let's say, Kwejo, something like this. So you say replace, and then say Microsoft Excel cannot find a match. So we just say okay, and then we just, it's because of where it's located. So we can just say find next first, and then we say replace. And now you see that YAW is now gone, it has replaced it with Kwejo. Now we can do the same thing. We say find female, and then replace with male. Then you say replace all, then all of them will change from female to male. So you see that all the data has now changed to male. And that's how we go about. So before you use the replace all, you have to be very careful, else it will give you something that will affect your data. So you say undo, and then it brings it back as it was. So that's what this one is talking about. It's a very basic concept, find and replace. And this data we are dealing with is very small, so sometimes you don't understand. But if the data is bulky, that's where you really need the find and replace. Another thing that we need, apart from the cell styles, is what we call the themes. And we say the themes will come with its own fonts, font sizes, and font styles. So appearance of fonts, colors, and cell style depends on the workbook's current theme. So if the theme is changed, formatting of the fonts, colors, and cell style changes throughout the entire workbook. So you decide what you want to do. So only the elements directly tied to the theme change when you select a different theme. And themes, we have so many different types of the theme. So you select a theme after highlighting the data, and then it will change everything. All the formatting that you've done is going to conform to the new theme that you choose. So you have to be careful before you choose any of the themes. So for instance, we go back here, let's go to the basic calculation. And here we have done some formatting here. Let me now reduce this so that you see whatever we are going to do. And then I want to now apply some themes. So I'll select anywhere, and then you see, is it under view, or where do we get our teams? Not under view or layout. Yeah, so it's under page layout rather, and you see the teams here. So you just click on the arrow pointing down here, and then these are the different sets of teams out there. So you decide which one of them that you want to go with. And you see that any one of them that you select, it gives you some different kind of different colors and then stars. So before that, you see how our data looks like. So now on the page layout, we go to the teams and we select one and see that this one has changed. It wasn't this color. If you say undo, you see it was green and it's also different. But if we choose a team like this, you see it changes, and now that's what it does. So it depends on what you are doing. You can decide the theme that you want. And you see that all the writings, the format, the text font is now changed from what we had. Initially, let's see the font that we had. All of them were Calibri. So you see, everything there was Calibri. Now we go and then we select a theme, and then the theme will come with its own different font sizes and everything. So from Calibri, we go and then you see that the theme is, the font is all Century Gothic, because that theme has changed everything that we have done. And that's why I said before you change or you choose a theme, you have to be careful so that it does not distort whatever you have done already. Okay, yeah, then we move to what we call conditional format or conditional formatting. So the goal of highlighting is to provide strong visual clue of important data or results. So sometimes, depending on the data set that I have, for instance, your exams, if I want to highlight those who are grade A, put emphasis on them, then I can do what we call conditional formatting, and it will highlight those, and that's what we are going to do. So format applied to a cell depends upon value or content of the cell. And the dynamic is the one, if the cell value changes, the cell format also changes as needed. That's what it does. So if somebody initially was having F, but now maybe we did not enter something, and after entering, the person is now having B, then it will change accordingly based on what you have done. So Excel has 4 different conditional formats. The one we call data bars, highlighting, color scales, and icon sets. So we are going to look at them in terms of the highlighting rules. So you say each conditional format has a set of rules which define how formatting should be applied and under what condition the format will be changed. So the highlight cell rules are greater than, less than, between, equal to, and so on and so forth. So based on that, then it will highlight based on the condition that you set. So here, the person has set some highlighting, some condition and saying equals to 0, and then it's applying some kind of formatting based on that highlight rules that is done. So let's go and play around that one too and see what you mean by conditional formatting. So it is the basic calculation. So I can say under the, let's say, total price, I want the one that is greater than some value. So I'll highlight the whole of this portion here. And then under the stars here, you see conditional formatting. So you click the arrow beside it here, and then you say you want to go with the highlight cell rules. And then you say greater than. So greater than, and then we indicate. So the largest figure here is 22,500. So if I want to highlight them, so you see that it has already highlighted these two for me because it has given greater than 10,500. That's not what I want. So I just want to say I want the one that is greater than 150,000. And I say it should highlight it yellow with dark yellow text. Okay, then you see that only that one has been highlighted because that's the only one that is greater than 150,000. Now I want the one to be that will highlight red, and that one, the criteria is less than, let's say, 2,000. So we just say the same thing, highlight cell rules, and then you say less than, and then this time the criteria says 2,000. And then I want that one to be highlight red. So the red is already selected, or just red text. No, rather light red with dark red text. Okay, now you see that the first one I said the condition should be greater than 150,000. It has highlighted that one for me. The second one I said the condition is the one that is less than 2,000. It has highlighted that one red for me. So that's what the conditional formatting is all about. So and you can also go with what we call icon sets. So let's highlight them again, conditional formatting, and then you see, let's say data bar. So you select, And then depending on the value, then you see that some of them are shaded higher than others. So you see that the one that is highest has shaded all of them, and the one that is smallest, you see, because I've already done some conditional format, you may not understand. So let me see undo, undo again, undo again. So all of that is gone. It no longer highlights zero. Now I'm going to go with a different conditional formatting. So I highlight, then go to the conditional formatting, and now I'm going to use what you call the data bar. So select this, and then you decide which of them that you want. So I click on this one, for instance, and then you see that it has highlighted this one almost throughout because that's the highest, followed by this. And so depending on the bar and the shade, that determines the figure. So this one is very small and it has shifted to the left because that is negative, and that's why that is shifted to the left. So that's another one. Say undo and then do the same thing, go to the conditional formatting, and you can go also with what we call icon sets. So the icon sets, you can do something like a traffic light. So you decide whether you want to go with red, gold, green, and so on and so forth. So it depends on what you are doing. For instance, you choose this and then you see that green means that is higher, gold means that is okay, but red means those are below. So all these are highlights that you can do in terms of the conditional formatting thing that we are talking about. Instead of this one, you can go with another style. So with the icon says, so you can see you are going with, let's say, some of this. So this one is saying this one has moved up, this one has shut down, this one has totally shut down, and so on and so forth. So it depends on the data set that you are doing and the kind of conditional formatting and the rules that you are applying to it. So you can also use what they call a legend, which shows each color used in the worksheet and what it means. And that's what we said earlier on, that you have to plan. So when you plan and you are not there, anyone who sees color green will think that, oh, this one is positive, color red is negative, and so on and so forth. And that's what the legend will tell you. So you have to put a legend and indicate each one of them. Now the printing, I think I showed it earlier on in the first, tutorial. So it's the same thing that is being displayed here. So depending on what you do, you can do what we call the custom page layout, or you can go with the normal one. But these things are things that you will not bother you much about in terms of examination, and you can practice that on your own, or you can do it when you go for the tutorial. So these things I will not worry much with it, and already we have talked about some of them already. But one other thing that you need before you print is what you call, let's say, the headers and then the footers. So sometimes before you print, if we want to know who designed this particular sheet, for instance, we go to the view, and then we can go to the page layout view. So when you come to the page layout view, then you see the header here, and it's divided into 3. So here I can say, let's say, student, or this basic calculation. So you say basic calculation. Then I can say prepared by Dr. Usu. And then if I have something else, I can put it here if I want. Then I can go to the bottom where we have what we call the footer. So under the footer, I can set, let's say, a page number. So click on this, and you see the page number has been inserted. I can also insert current date, and here I can insert the current type like this. So now if I move to the normal view, let me click outside it. So you see that it's telling me the time that I did this, the number of pages, and then the current date. And then the top here too, you see that basic calculation prepared by. So let's see if we print and this thing will come. So file, and then you say print. And you see that it's giving me the current time, the page number, the date, and also the one who designed it. And that's what the header and footer will do for you. So for those who did not understand what I did, let me undo and then let me repeat it. So this particular data here, before I print, I want to insert what we call header and footer. And let me center the whole of this because it seems the data set is tilted to the left. So I can highlight all of them, cut like this, and then I'll start it from, let's see, the unit price here, or the quantity side. Yeah, so now it has shifted a little, and let's see. But you see that our formatting is starting from here. So that means we have to now do the merge and setter spread across it again. So merge and center, yeah, and then do the same thing. Okay, like this. So now I want to do the header and footer before I print. So all that I'll do is I'll just go to the view and then I'll change to the page layout view. And when you change the page layout view, oh, already is there. So it gives you what we call the header. Let me delete the whole thing. Now they see that add header. So the moment you point to it, it divides into 3. So here I can say prepared by Dr. Owusu, just like that. And then if I come to the bottom, here is what we call footer. So let me delete everything there and then try it again. So you see add footer. So once you point to it on the left here, so on the page layout view, header and footer, yeah. I can say insert the page number here. In the middle here, I can say I want it to give me, let's say the current date, and then on the right, I want it to give me the current time. You decide what you want to do. And you see that now I have my header, the one who prepared it, and I have my footer showing the page number, the current date, and then the current time. So if I decide to print this in file, and I'll say print, then this is how it's going to print. So prepared by is at the top as a header, and I have my page number, the date, and then the time. If I move to the normal view, let's see what we get. So normal view, and you see that the header and the footer does not display here. But it doesn't mean it's not there. Anytime you go to the page layout view, it will be there. If you go to page break view, you don't see the header and footer, but it's not there. And that's how it is. So in a nutshell, that's how you can format things for printing and everything. So this is the end of the second lecture for week 2. And like I said earlier on, take time, watch the videos, read the slides as well, and then make sure you practice alongside whatever you read. Anything at all that you don't understand, you can put your question in the forum when you log into the Sakai LMS. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. Goodbye.